So last time the countdown was actually very helpful for me, so do you mind how terribly if we do that again?
Let's do a countdown.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6,
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's really distracting on
that,
my end.
In my end, that sounds perfect.
That's great. That's good, because that means that for the listener, dear listeners, it will sound perfect as well.
We should let them hear our countdown one day.
Imagine if a podcast did that, just played the countdown at the start of every episode.
This is it. This is the episode for it, Kyle.
So we have lots of nerd news to discuss, but
yeah.
I want to open with the most controversial thing. I don't know if you've heard, it's the biggest controversy since Cyberpunk 2077, Nathan.
Right, okay, I'm on board, Kyle. I'm on this bus. What are you going to tell me?
So they unveiled some new footage of the new God of War game. I don't know if you heard.
Oh, I did.
And would you believe it? Those animals, those monsters, they're reusing the same getting into the boat animations from the previous game, Nathan.
Oh my god. Getting into the boat?
I can't possibly believe it.
It's not like those 3 Assassin's Creed games where they used the exact same whistling sound effect.
What kind of lazy developers would reuse an animation, Nathan?
None worth their salt, Kyle. None worth their salt.
In case you can't tell, listeners, we're being deeply sarcastic.
Is this the game where they made Thor fat?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, people say fat. He doesn't look... He has like a dad bod. I wouldn't call him fat.
I mean...
He's chunky.
It's no secret, Kyle and listeners. I've never played God of War. I don't care.
No, we're dirty Xbox players, and we have never had the opportunity to play God of War.
We are dirty Xbox Game Pass boys.
Game Pass Ultimate.
Game Pass Ultimate for Game Pass PC too, even though I can't play PC games. I get Among Us for free.
I just learned it gives me premium access to Microsoft Solitaire, so there you go.
Wow, we should have a game night on Microsoft Solitaire. Right.
We can play some Spider Solitaire. It's going to be great.
So, Kyle, any other thoughts on animations for boats?
I think people are silly and don't understand how games are made. And also, what do they expect people to do? To reanimate getting into a boat again for no reason whatsoever?
Are people really upset about it? I thought you were just being slightly facetious because you read a couple of tweets.
No, this is a whole thing. This is a whole thing that happened. People are very mad at this game. They think it looks cheap and lazy because it's too similar to the previous game, to which it is a sequel of. The boat animations are just the most extreme example of this.
I reserve comment until the game is released and I don't play it.
Okay, moving on. I'm probably going to save Star Trek news for later because that's where we end up spending most of our time.
We're going to backload the episode with Star Trek, guys. Buckle up.
So let's stick on game news for a sec. Knights of the Old Republic is getting a remake and it's a PlayStation exclusive.
At launch.
Still, it's annoying.
I have a confession to make.
You've never played KOTOR?
I've never played KOTOR.
That's okay, Nathan. I also have a confession to make.
Yeah.
I've never played KOTOR.
Kyle, you've never played KOTOR?
I know.
Everyone's played KOTOR. I know KOTOR Knights of the Old Republic because KOTOR just sounds really weird. I've known of it the whole time it's been around. I know
it's like the most famous Star Wars game, basically.
Yeah, I know its characters, kind of, not even really.
I know Revan because Revan kind of has that Thrawn fandom where everyone keeps talking about how great Revan is.
Yeah, You know what? I mean, when it's on Xbox, I'll probably play it. It's a Star Wars game. I will not have a link to the original game where people bitch and whine because they changed the lightsaber animation. It's fine, I guess. The animation looked cool. It's not gameplay representative, it's just an announcement little clip that they showed.
I mean, personally, I'm hoping that remake means they're completely revamping the gameplay, because when you go back and play old RPGs from that era, oh boy, they're not fun.
They're so floaty.
The combat is kind of... It's
hack and
like
slash.
Early World of Warcraft combat.
Yeah.
It's not fun.
No. Like, I don't want this to be a Halo anniversary situation where they just put a new skin on it. I want a whole remake.
Just put in the combat system from Fallen Order. Bada bing.
God. That's good gameplay, but it takes a while to master.
That's true. But you want it to be not as weird and clunky as the lightsabers in Battlefront, though. We need an in-between there.
Is that is KOTOR the online game?
No. I think if there is an online one set in the same era, but Knights of the Old Republic is an RPG.
Right, okay. I thought like that it had its single player campaign, then it had a big
MMO
MMO element.
That's just called the Old Republic. Maybe?
That's where my confusion stems from, because they had really good cinematics back in the day that everyone would watch as like an Old Republic 15-minute movie. That was really cool.
No, Knights of the Old Republic was an RPG, and then the Old Republic is an MMO, I think.
Are you definitely going to play KOTOR?
I think so. It's a very famous game, especially when it comes to like RPG design. It's one that people talk about a lot. Although I think the second one is more interesting in that regard for like RPG stuff, but they're not remaking the second one, so at least I don't think so.
What I find very interesting is this going to be like the first new piece of Star Wars media outside Star Wars Visions that isn't canon?
That's what I was thinking too, like, because they did make Revan canon again. There's like a statue of him in Rise of Skywalker, I think.
Yeah, and apparently all the Sith Trooper legions in the visual dictionary are named after famous Sith Lords of old.
Yeah, so it could be that they're going to, as part of this remake, they are maybe recanonizing some of the Old Republic stuff. It wouldn't shock me.
I just assumed this was going to be a one-for-one remake in terms of its story beats, but maybe they're just going to make a new canon version of the Old Republic. Same characters, but slightly different events, maybe?
I mean, they don't even need to make different events, right? Because in current canon, we know nothing about the Old Republic, so they can just do whatever.
Yeah, I don't know what they've covered in the books about the Old Republic.
The books are currently doing High Republic.
High Republic, yeah.
Which is not as far back as Old Republic, right?
The High Republic, I think, is older than the Old Republic.
No, because High Republic has Yoda in it.
Fair. Yeah.
Right?
Isn't the end of the High Republic the prequels?
I think so.
God. Like, this is the problem with when they introduced this High Republic thing, right? They never referenced it in anything outside of the books.
No.
And 78% of Star Wars fans, even diehards, don't read the books.
No.
They haven't been referenced in The Mandalorian. Wait, maybe they were referenced in The Mandalorian? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
They've never been referenced in any TV show or movie, and that's where most people, myself included, will get my information from. So I'm not really sure how the High Republic fits into anything.
I know Yoda's in it. I know there's a bunch of books there. There's some Padawans. Everyone's wearing gold. It's very fancy. That's my impression of what I've seen from the High Republic book covers.
It's
everyone's just
very
dressed
sand,
in gold.
white golden sand.
Yeah. It's very like 70s sci-fi.
So, do you want to talk about any of the other game trailers?
I was going to just keep on Star Wars, actually, because we got a trailer for Star Wars Visions.
We did get a trailer for Star Wars Visions. I just mentioned it and I forgot all about it. Yeah, people are really excited about this one.
I love the idea. I think it's a very clever, very interesting idea. I'm super curious to see how it goes. I don't know how it's going to go down.
Halo Legends done it first.
Well, Halo Legends wasn't an anthology. Was it? I don't know. I know nothing about it.
I have the DVD of Halo Legends. It's the exact same concept as this. Every episode is made by a different anime studio, and they're just their own little tales about the UNSC Covenant War, or earlier than that, or after that. It's actually quite good. I enjoy it.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's quite good. I haven't watched it in many years, but and I'm not even a big anime person, but I actually quite enjoy Halo Legends. Halo Legends is very good. Whatever you thought of Halo Visions, Kyle, that you were excited for, go watch Halo Legends, check it out.
Halo Visions.
Halo Visions.
You're just stepping over all your words today.
Yeah. Not going to correct it. Not even going to correct it.
The thing with it is Star Wars, it does have a lot of, shall we say, Eastern, what's the word I'm looking for?
Influences.
It has a lot of of Eastern influences, like old samurai films and stuff like that.
Well, Star Wars is famously just a hodgepodge of shit George Lucas liked growing up.
Yes, one of which was samurai films.
Yeah.
Which they also lean into a lot with The Mandalorian, like the episode with Ahsoka where he goes to this...
Yep.
Where it's basically an old samurai film.
Flash Gordon type serials with the opening credits and stuff.
Yes.
You know, it was... And obviously Western movies themselves are inspired by samurai movies that were about 20 years earlier.
Yes, that's true. Everything is built on the shoulders of giants, as they say.
Attack on Titan.
But I think this is going to be interesting because some of the animation is very, like, serious looking.
Yeah.
And some of it is extremely silly looking. Like, there's one about a pop star robot, I think.
I haven't read into the context of any of these episodes except what I've seen in the trailers. I've never dug into to see, well, what's that episode supposed to be about? And there's like an episode where the person's got like a weird lightsaber that has lots and lots of different blades on it.
Yes.
Remember the episode of Star Trek Voyager where they
Probably.
go to like a space station and Captain Janeway keeps giving all these gifts from people?
I don't remember this.
It was a show...
I thought you were going to talk about the space station where they go in on the ship and it's like a free ship repair station, but it's actually a big monster.
Isn't that an episode of Star Trek Enterprise?
That might be an episode of Star Trek Enterprise.
There is an episode of Star Trek Enterprise. Well, no, so they're on this shore-leavy space station. It's very friendly, and everyone from Voyager's allowed to go into the space station, and everyone from the space station's allowed to come into Voyager. It's a 7 of 9 episode where old collective people come aboard and try and break themselves free.
I remember that part.
Yeah, that's the A story. But in the B story, like Captain Janeway keeps getting given all these fucking gifts from all these delegates, and her ready room's just flooded with them. And she gets given this massive yellow baton thing from like a sports game they play. And it looks just like that lightsaber. It's like a massive racket with tons of different spinny bits on it. And Harry, Kim, and Tom Paris get beat up playing on the space station, get lots of bruises.
See, the only thing I could think of is if you could remember back to the distant era of 2015, when it was first revealed that Kylo Ren's lightsaber had 2 extra bits. And then someone made the gif where the lightsaber went on and it had all these millions of extra bits. That's what I kept thinking of.
Oh, how innocent we were in 2015.
Oh, I know.
I've a cynical take on how Disney and or Lucasfilm is treating these anime shorts.
Oh, a cynical take on Disney, please tell.
Yeah, please tell. Every single one of these episodes is dropping at once.
Yes.
And they're just they're dropping them and forgotten about. They're away, they're gone in the wind. People will talk about them for a week and never again. And maybe it'll get renewed for a second batch 2 years later, but it's gone. It's not a weekly release. It's not something they want people to be talking about each week to speculate on or to build up or anything. I know it's anthology, but it's not something they seem to be investing time into. It's like a dump and it's gone. And to me, the only platform that still does that is Netflix because they sort of originated it. But every other streamer has switched to weekly releasing episodes because
including Disney where they do all that
including Disney. So the fact that they're just dumping all these Visions episodes in one dump feels like it's more like a token gesture to people and not something they sincerely believe in.
I hadn't considered that.
I mean, they've put a lot of money into it. They must expect it to be profitable, but that doesn't necessarily mean I think they've got long-term faith in it either.
I mean, I definitely think it's a niche. I can't see this appealing to mainstream Star Wars fans all that much, you know?
Yeah,
I don't think my parents are going to give a crap about Star Wars anime, you know?
Yeah. It feels like a cute curiosity.
Yes, and I'll appreciate it for that. It's going to be strange. It's again, I like the idea of it. I think it's fun to just give them the Star Wars IP and just be like, do whatever you want and see what happens.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
I know that Star Wars, they had a thing for a while about like brand integrity and you can't have Darth Vader doing dances at Disney World anymore. But I don't know, stuff like this is fun, you know?
Stuff like this is fun. I think that they understand that they can kind of play around with the IP a little bit and it won't hurt them.
Yeah, it's too big to fail at this point, I think.
If they can make the Freemaker saga, they can do anything.
I always forget that exists.
I forget all the Star Wars Lego properties exist outside their games. Remember Revenge of the Brick?
I do. I mean, most of the Lego stuff is just like, what if the characters had a goofy side adventure? But the Freemaker Adventures is actually like a separate IP with unique characters. Yeah. And that's bizarre.
That is very bizarre. Palpatine's in it, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure they have lots of cameos. I know at least Harrison Dilla showed up in an episode.
See, I didn't even know that. I just saw the trailer.
I saw the Lego sets because, of course, they had tie-in Lego sets.
Of course they tied. That was the whole purpose the show was made.
Yes, so they could have new Star Wars Lego sets in a time when there wasn't new Star Wars media coming out. See, that right there, that was a point for a little transition noise.
Spider-Man 2 on PlayStation 5.
So many good games for PlayStation that we can't play, Nathan.
Wolverine for PlayStation 5.
So many good games on PlayStation that we can't play, Nathan. But you know what we do have? We do have Peppa Pig.
Peppa Pig. You know what? I've got quite a few friends who play PlayStation, and they'll be like, "Oh man, I bet you're regretting having an Xbox." And we've spoken about the business diversion moves that Sony and Microsoft are making when it comes to their consoles. I always have to explain that people talking about things in the realm of pure exclusivity are really, they're thinking with a business head from 6 years ago. Like, it really doesn't matter anymore. Now, for us as gamers, it can be quite frustrating to see these cool IPs come out that are exclusive, especially Spider-Man, but that's not even getting it. That's nothing Xbox can actually do anything about. Sony own the character to the film rights as well.
Yeah.
Like, that's the Spider-Man thing I can just write off in my head is there are mechanisms at play that go much further beyond an Xbox or a PlayStation that means that's an exclusive, you know? And it does come to things like, you know, KOTOR coming out first there, or that new Wolverine game. You know, it can get a little bit jading, but I always need to remind myself the value of Game Pass. Value of Game Pass.
It is quite some. I honestly don't even think about it anymore, but it is just so convenient to just have a look and it's like, oh, there's 6 new games on Game Pass. I wonder if any of those I want. And then I download them and then I never play them most likely, but at least it's an option.
Yeah, at least it's an option. I wonder how much money they bleed from me every month because I'm just using Game Pass for my Destiny 2 expansions.
That's true. Yeah, Game Pass is good. And we do, in fairness, have some exclusives coming eventually.
Indiana Jones.
Halo Infinite.
Like Halo Infinite.
That one vampire game.
What one's that?
Redfall? Red something? Remember they showed a trailer for E3? It was their big finale showstopper.
This sounds so defeatist. We've got games too.
You don't remember this? That's okay. Starfall? No, Starfield?
I downloaded Starfield. I never played it.
How did you download it? It's not out yet.
No, what am I thinking? Hold on.
You thinking of No Man's Sky?
No, not No Man's Sky. Hold on. Is Splitgate an exclusive? Splitgate's pretty fun.
Splitgate is not an exclusive.
That's annoying.
I've not played Splitgate yet.
The game I was thinking of was called Elite Danger Corps.
That's not even remotely similar.
I know, but in the game it's like an FPS kind of space game. But you're like going between solar systems and you're going in hyperspace and you got. I've never played it, but I saw a TikTok and it looked pretty fun. Oh, you're such a Gen Z, Nathan. I don't like being a Zoomer, but occasionally things catch me out and I'm like, oh, that was pretty sweet. That looks neat.
But yes, so it's always a tough time when PlayStation rolls out their
games,
their announcements. It's tough.
It's good when Xbox make their announcements, but I think that's just from a money perspective.
Yeah, we never talked about Saints Row either.
Oh, we never spoke about Saints Row. Yeah, there's a new Saints Row game coming out, and I don't know what to make of it.
It's a reboot, which is probably for the best, let's be honest.
It's definitely for the best.
Saints Row 4 was certainly a game.
It was a choice.
It was a choice.
It was a stupid DLC stretched out into a full retail title, and it was just dumb.
That's literally what it was, by the way.
Yeah, no, I know. That's why I said I always remember that about Central 4. It was a DLC for Central the Third that they just stretched into a full retail title. You know, as a DLC, it would have been fun, but as a full game, it was too much.
Yes.
Too much.
And then they made Agents of Mayhem, which no one in the world remembers but me.
Gat Out of Hell.
Gat Out of Hell, of course. People remember that one because it has Johnny Gat.
Johnny Gat. Do you think he'll show up in the reboot, like in a post credit scene or something?
Oh, I hope not, but I don't put it past them because it's like we have to put him in. It's a Saints Row game.
He's like, the man.
He's Johnny Gat. He's your favorite. We don't need
Oleg or
Daniel
Zemo.
Day-Kim. You love him.
So are you going to play the new Saints Row?
Probably. It looks pretty good to me. People have been complaining about the character design. I'm like, I don't care.
I think I'm going to hold off. I like Saints Row. I do like Saints Row, but it's not grabbing me the way maybe you would expect it to.
I don't think... Something about, I think it's Deep Silver who owns Saints Row at the moment. They're just the worst at marketing, honestly.
It looks like a mixture between Crackdown and Cyberpunk.
See, I thought it looked a bit like Watch Dogs.
See, I didn't get that vibe.
Just specifically from the character dynamics, it reminded me a lot of the trailers for Watch Dogs 2.
What? Yeah,
remember Watch Dogs 2 has the guy with the emoji helmet?
Yeah, okay. No, I'll give you that. I remember I played the first Watch Dogs, and I had like the tie-ins to like Assassin's Creed and stuff, and that was really cool. And then, but I didn't really enjoy the game, so I stopped playing it. And then I never played Watch Dogs 2, but I thought the trailers looked quite cool.
Yeah, Watch Dogs is one of those franchises that's on my backlog. It's like if they release them all on sale, I'll probably buy them and play through them.
Watch Dogs was a Games for Gold game like 3 years ago. That's the only reason I've got it.
I must have forgotten to pick it up then. Actually, no, I think I do have it.
There you go, there's a game. Well, I tell you a game we've both been playing, Kyle.
Oh.
Hades.
It came out at Xbox finally. It's real good.
It's fun. I like Hades.
It's not the kind of game that I normally like, but I have been enjoying it quite a lot.
Same.
Normally that dungeon crawler type game just doesn't appeal, but I think the way that the dying and respawning is incorporated into the story
continuity
is really interesting
continues.
To me. Yeah.
I think the way that everything's fully voice acted as well is really good.
I love the character design. I think it's all really nice looking. And it's a really interesting take on the Greek gods. And, like, just visually, in terms of character, they kind of work the same as they always do. But they're just, they're a lot more...
I think
don't know the word I'm looking for is...
fleshed out.
Just their designs are a lot more interesting than just normally, like, they're wearing white robes. Wow, so exciting.
I think the last dungeon crawler I played was probably that Tomb Raider one that me and you played years ago.
Lara Croft and the Temple of Osiris, or whatever it's called.
I'm gonna find it, Kyle. I'm gonna find it.
No, I think Temple of Osiris was the sequel that we never played. It was Lara Croft and the something.
You're trying to tell me, Kyle, that we didn't finish a franchise?
I am trying to tell you that. We should do a Let's Play of Lara Croft in the mirror on this YouTube channel.
I found it.
Let's do it. What's it called?
Lara Croft and the Guardian of Light.
There we go. Because one of you plays as Lara Croft and one of you plays as an ancient Aztec mummy guy.
Yeah, I'll give you the description. Experience the first ever co-op action adventure game featuring Lara Croft. Team up with a friend or go it alone as you traverse and solve deadly traps, fight hordes of undead armies, and collect over 60 artifacts and relics. Lara Croft and the Guardian of Light offers fast-paced action, breathtaking visuals shown through an isometric view. Isometric, yes, I missed out the T.
I don't think that counts as a dungeon crawler. Dungeon crawlers is specifically the type of game that Hades is, where you do runs, basically, and you die at the end and all your progress resets. That's what defines a dungeon crawler.
Does it?
Yes.
I feel like that game was pretty, beaten.
I honestly, Nathan, I can't remember.
I have fun memories of me and you playing it.
I remember remember playing it with you. I just don't remember what we were doing at the time when we were playing it.
But yeah, no, if Hades is something I intend to continue playing. It's something I don't think I would have liked either. If it wasn't for other people I know playing it, I probably wouldn't even have given it a chance.
That's weird. It's one of the first games in a while where, like, other people I know are talking about it. Because I play so many games and none of my friends give a crap.
No one.
It's strange to be playing a game that's, like, in the conversation.
That isn't Halo.
That isn't Halo. I mean, we haven't had the excuse to talk about a Halo game in, like, what, 5 years?
Yeah. I mean, I participated in the Insider program for Halo Infinite.
Yes, and how is it?
It's a good time, man. It does feel like classic Halo. And I never thought I would know what classic Halo was. I've played old Halo, but you know, whenever you hear people say those weird things about, this feels like the way Halo was always meant to be and all that, and then you're like, what the hell are you on about? This does feel like an older Halo game, but also a new Halo game, because it's added stuff that has been in previous Halo games, but something about the gameplay just feels a bit more, it's not the pro MLG shooter that is Halo 5. If you want to play the pro MLG shooter that is Halo 5, play Splitgate. Splitgate's fun, by the way, but the second Halo Infinite comes out, Splitgate's going to die a death. Because all Splitgate is Halo, with portals. The guns are... Oh, it's shameless. I'm surprised they haven't been sued.
I have been told that it's pretty shameless. It's made by former Halo devs, I think, right?
I know nothing about its development cycle.
I think it might be a team of former Halo devs. I only know this because my brother's been playing a lot of it as well.
Oh, Splitgate's quite fun. Me and friend of the show Ryan, we've been playing some of it. It's a good time. I would happily jump on and play some more of it with people, but when Halo Infinite comes out, it's going to be forgotten about. But this is, public service announcement for everyone listening to this. If you haven't participated in the flights for Halo Infinite and you're still interested, you can sign up now because they're gearing up for their second flight.
That is if Kyle manages to edit the episode in time for that announcement to be relevant.
Well, I think the second flight doesn't go live for another 4 weeks, so something's going to happen to you if you haven't done it in a month.
Fair enough. That's fair.
So, PSA, sign up.
Speaking of games we've been playing, because we each have branching conversations here, Nathan.
Do we? Oh my.
I was going to say speaking of branches, but that would infer that I know how 12 minutes works, and I don't. Can you explain 12 minutes to me, Nathan?
I'll explain 12 minutes to you and to our vast audience. So, 12 minutes is it's a game that they announced about 50 E3s ago.
We were still babies when they announced this game.
But from the moment I saw the first trailer, it stuck out to me, and I was like, that looks like a neat premise. And it was like, and I like those small stories. Like, I like Firewatch. I've spoken about Firewatch before. It's like just little intimate stories. I really like those small scale stories. And this is good. And it had three main characters, and they were voiced by James McAvoy, nice Scottish kid, Daisy Ridley, and William Dafoe. Right? Like, that's great. And
Isn't it Willem Dafoe?
Willem. Sorry.
Yeah.
Willem. I'm sorry.
William Dafoe.
William Dafoe. Is Willem?
No, please. William Dafoe is my father.
I apologise, listeners. Willem Dafoe. And it's great. The premise, and it's like 12 minutes. So the game starts off with you kind of not really any context. You're in like the hallway outside your apartment. So you're like in the building, and there's three, and it's just kind of familiarising you with the controls, and you're just getting out of an elevator, and it's top down. The entire view of the game is top down, and it's kind of like a point and click to walk somewhere. I'll talk about the controls later, but that's not important right now. And you go into the house, and you've got your wife. I think it's implied that she's your wife anyway. And you're
Are you playing as Willem Dafoe, James McAvoy?
You're playing as James McAvoy. You're playing as James McAvoy. And, you're in from work, and, you get to explore your apartment a little bit, and she's saying she made dessert, and you can sit and have conversations with her. You can kind of explore the room and pick stuff up and put stuff in your pockets, like an inventory system. And then, at one point, the door goes, and it's Willem Dafoe. It's the Green Goblin. And he's a police officer, and he's like, open the door, I'm Willem Dafoe. And
oh, you mean like when he shows up in Spider-Man 2 as a ghost?
Yes. And he's like, I'm Willem Dafoe, open the door. And the wife opens the door. Or you can open the door. Like, it's one of those things where you can, like, beat her to the door and you can open it yourself. But the first thing he does is, like, arrests you. And, like, you can try and cut your way out of the... Because even though he's a police officer... Again, I haven't finished the game. I only have, like, an hour playtime in this game, an hour and a half playtime. But if you try and leave the apartment when he's, like, arresting your wife or something, it resets the entire room. You cannot leave the apartment. You can go into other rooms in the apartment, you can't actually leave the apartment. Or if you pull a knife on Willem Dafoe and he, like, punches it out of your hand and knocks you out, it resets the room. Or, like...
It's a Groundhog Day situation.
Yes, and your character has memories of every single previous encounter. So when you, like, reset in the room, it's just like you're coming in from work again, and your wife comes out of the bathroom, and she obviously doesn't recall any of this, and you've got to try and make sense of it all, and you're looking around the room for clues, or, like, you can even have a discussion with her that's, like, the day's repeating itself, and of course she thinks you're crazy. But then you're like, I can prove it, and, like, there's a thunderstorm outside, and I can prove, like, in the next few minutes there's going to be a thunderstorm. And she's like, weather's for clear skies, and there's a thunderstorm. She's like, holy shit. And you're like, oh, so there's a police officer, as Willem Dafoe's going to come and tie you up. And she's like, oh, okay, if he shows... And there's, like, other steps you can do. Like, there's other things around the room. Because it's like a mystery. You're supposed to kind of figure out how to get out of this situation. There's maybe mysteries about other things that have happened. Like, this police officer has come to your door for a reason. Now, I haven't progressed this far into the game to know whether he really is a police officer or not, but all these things have occurred to me. And, like, there was, like, a murder earlier that maybe one of the people are connected to, but also maybe not. Because, again, person might not even be a fucking police officer. And every single time the room resets, you've got to try and skip through the conversation and find new ways to prove that there really is a thing. You can lock the door, but then that buys you time, but Willem Dafoe's going to beat the door down anyway if you don't do that. Or you could answer the door, maybe try and stab him, but he's quite good, so you knock the thing out of your hand. Or you could maybe hide in a room, but he'll probably find you anyway. Like, I've tried to hide under the bed before and he comes for you. It's interesting. Again, I haven't completed the game yet. This is very early days opinions I'm giving here. It is infuriating though when you last 5 minutes and then it goes wrong, because then you've got to play the next 5 minutes again, basically retreading your steps, a bit like a dungeon crawler.
It's a narrative dungeon crawler. Now, there are points where you can just hold in the A button to kind of fast forward 30 seconds so that you're not just sitting around waiting, because there are moments where, like, she's like, your wife's like, dinner will be ready in a couple of minutes, whatever, and you're just kind of walking around the apartment. But maybe if you know there's nothing for you really doing those 30 seconds because you've done the playthrough already, and this is the bit you know what to do in, you can just skip forward. It can be a little bit infuriating, but it's interesting. Now, what I will say, to the game's detriment, the controls are dog shit. As in, just not built for a controller?
Not built for a controller. It's like your analog sticks you kind of use to, it's like in the Destiny UI, you use your cursor to navigate this little stick, this little circle.
Okay.
And your inventory's a drop box at the top of your screen, so you bring the thing up to the top of your screen, it drops down, and then if you want to, like, use your key to lock the door, instead of tapping on the lock because your key's in your inventory, you actually need to go up to your top, bring your inventory out, and then hold A and click and drag your key down to the front door. And then when you've confirmed
that's definitely built for a mouse.
Yeah. And then when you've confirmed that's the action you want to take, your character then walks to the door to do it. And if there's something in the way, your character just kind of fumbles because he's on auto walk. It's a little bit annoying, but I'm still intrigued by the premise enough to keep playing, but it doesn't play as smoothly as I had hoped.
Well, that's what happens when you get 16 million years of hype for a game.
Yeah.
You think they'd have learned by now? Like, just don't announce it until it's like a year maximum before you announce it.
They always end up getting pressured though by the studios, probably the publisher. They're like, we need to show this game for our own conference reasons. We need to pump up the content, because it ends up being like, we've got 50 million Squillion games to show this year. 25 billion of them are games announced at previous years, but because you show them again, it sounds like you've actually got quite a cohesive catalogue. If you were just showing stuff one year and they're out the next year, E3s would be so much smaller because they would have nothing to show again.
But they would be so much more impactful.
I would agree.
So if we can pivot to what I've been playing, I recently bought the Mafia trilogy on sale.
Yes, you did.
Those games. And I have thoughts. So Nathan, do you remember years ago, when we were doing our test episodes, we flirted with the idea of in each episode we would give each other like a piece of media to watch or play as homework.
Yes, I remember that.
And it didn't really work because neither of us have the schedule or patience to do that.
Yes, and for me, I would recommend you films, but you would recommend me a game that requires 40 hours of my life.
Yes. Well, if you remember, the film that you gave me that one time was the classic film Goodfellas.
I do remember it, and I love that film to this day.
In that discussion, which I don't think... That's pre us releasing the episodes, right? So no one will have heard this discussion.
These episodes are not in the public domain at current.
Subscriber goal, though. When we get to 1,000 subscribers, I'll release those episodes. So, just saying.
Anyone wants to hear our Stony Tark episode?
If anyone wants to hear it before we learned how to do audio or speak or editing.
Before we had proper microphones.
It's all right there waiting for you.
Oh God, oh boy, you're going to love it.
Before we're even called Name Not Included.
That were another name.
Was that a secret too?
That's the secret for now. We can't give away the whole barn, Kale.
Okay, anyway, Goodfellas. So I need to rewatch it actually, but at the time I didn't enjoy the movie because I didn't sympathise with the main characters, was basically what I said, I think. Right?
Yes, basically.
And I kind of felt like I would have the same issue going into the Mafia games.
Right.
But because of the protagonist of Games Magic, which I talked about in my last video, by the way, plug. It's just easier to relate to protagonists of games because you control them and you spend all your time with them, and there's just like an innate bond there, you know?
I happen to disagree, but I'll let you go on.
You disagree with that?
I do disagree with that, but I think we could talk at length about that and it would undercut your Mafia thing you're about to do.
Okay, anyway, so I played the remake of Mafia 1, which is a fantastic game, by the way. I'd never played the original, but the remake was great. It's definitely my favourite of the series that I've played so far. I'm still in the middle of Mafia 3. But yeah, so I really liked that game. And then, immediately after finishing it, I went on to Mafia 2.
The iconic Mafia 2.
Yes, the legendary, famous, one of the best games ever written, Mafia 2, yes.
I should know, audience, I've never played a Mafia game.
I thought you'd played Mafia 2. I don't know why I thought that, I just thought you had.
I love the hit Rockstar game, L.A. Noire.
I do recommend you play the Mafia. I think you would really like the Mafia remake.
Okay,
but so that's besides the point. So Mafia 2 didn't get for one thing, it didn't get a remake, it got a remaster, quote unquote. It's they upscaled the resolution and
is it Mass Effect Legendary Edition?
No, more like the Ezio collection.
Right.
Like, it's not really... They didn't redo any of the textures. They just upped the frame rate and resolution.
Right, so the game runs smoother, but it still can look a bit like ass?
I assume so. I've never played the original, so... Right. But yeah, it still looks like ass, so that's one thing. But generally, that doesn't bother me in games when games look old, because I know games look old. Like, I just get used to it after a bit.
Yep.
But I have to say, legendary best game ever written, Mafia 2, it's a bit of a disappointment, Nathan. It's okay.
Did it not meet expectations, or was it actually bad?
I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's like amazing though. It's fairly average.
It's serviceable.
It's serviceable. It's like, I'm gonna get so much shit for saying this, but it's about on par with a GTA game in terms of story.
You want me to send Secret Service to your house for the next month?
It's fine. Nobody listens to our podcast yet.
Yet.
When they get back to this episode, then I'll get lynched and my critiquer, my YouTube critiquer license will be stripped away from me.
The 14th of September 2021, 15 years ago, you said Mafia 2 wasn't great. Care to respond to these comments?
You said it was on par with a GTA game? But, okay, so... some people don't know, the premise of Mafia is you play as a young up-and-coming mafia man named Vito Scaletta on his rise to power through the the Empire Bay Mafia, which is basically New York City. It's a fictional New York City, and it's set during the 1940s and 50s.
Okay. Is this for the trilogy? Or no, Mafia 3 is completely disconnected from the first two, isn't it?
They're all loosely tied, kind of like the GTA games, where they're all set in the same universe, but you play as different characters across different time periods.
Oh, right, okay. I for some reason, I thought the first two games were like Halos, were the direct continuation with the same characters.
No, so in the first game you play as Tommy Angelo, and it's set during the 1930s in a different city.
Right.
And then the second game is set during the 1940s and 50s, and then the third game is set during the 1960s.
Right, okay. So, what weren't you impressed about with this?
I just expected more. At the end of the day, it felt to me like a very standard video game. Like, it fell into most of the tropes of game stories, which, given the reputation it had, I thought it'd be more than that. It's a whole bunch of missions where you go to a place, shoot some guys, steal some cars. It's exactly what you expect from this kind of game.
The story of GTA 5 was quite good, so if you're saying it's like that, then it's not the worst game.
No, that's why I don't dislike it. It's just it's hardly the best game ever, and there's some things which they're trying which I think don't work to the game's advantage in the story. At the end of the day, it's a game about being used, like that the story is about being used by people.
Right.
Like, you think you're getting somewhere in the Mafia, but there's always a bigger fish. There's always someone above that person who's telling you what to do.
You're never going to be the Don.
Yes. Like, okay, that works for the story, but in terms of the character of Vito...
You just feel like you're going through endless waves of bosses.
You're just going through endless hoops, and he doesn't really have much of a drive outside of that. His whole deal is just like, I'm going to be the big Mafia man. Yeah, especially coming from the first game where Tommy has a lot more motivation like that. Like, it's set over the course of 10 years, and over the course of all the missions, he kind of becomes jaded about the Mafia, and he's thinking about leaving, and he has a family, and there's more to his character than just, I'm going to be the biggest, toughest Mafia man.
Right. So do you maybe think people liked Mafia 2 better historically because they liked the prospect of being the Don of the Mafia?
Well, no, because you don't get to become the Don of the Mafia at the end, because...
Spoilers.
It's spoilers for this 10-year-old game? 12-year-old? I don't know how old it is.
If you're saying that you think I'd quite like it, like within reason, I think I'll give it a shot.
I think you'd quite like the first game.
All right, okay. So you're saying don't buy the trilogy.
I think the second one is probably too old for you at this point.
Why would the first one be better?
Because it's a remake.
Did they touch up the controls? I thought they just Ezio collectioned it.
No, the Ezio collection, the second one. They remade the first one.
Well, they done like a full brand spanking nice game?
Yes.
All right, okay. I did not know. Huh.
It's very misleading because they're both named, so they're named Mafia Definitive Edition, and then you get Mafia 2 Definitive Edition. Mafia Definitive Edition is a full remake of the 2002 game with new graphics, new gameplay, new open world, new everything. And Mafia 2 Definitive Edition is just a touch-up. It's real sneaky.
See, so what have they changed for the original Mafia game then? Like, is it the same map and the same story, and they've just remade it, or have they actually changed things?
Honest answer, I don't know, because I never played the original. The original came out like around the same time as Halo 1, so...
God, that's old.
Yeah, and if you look at the pictures, everyone's face is just kind of like a blob of pixels.
It's like GoldenEye.
Yeah. So, I don't know, but I assume that they touched up a lot. Like, I'm sure it's definitely all new, like, acting. Like, they've actually mocapped the faces and stuff, you can tell.
Is it new voice actors? Like, new cast?
I don't know, probably.
That's interesting, okay.
I mean, some of the faces look completely different from the original ones, because I assume they're modelled after real people.
I'll give it a look. You've actually piqued my interest more than other people have been able to historically. Sorry if those people happen to listen to this.
Okay, I mean, Mafia 1, the story is basically Goodfellas. That's why I brought it up.
Yeah.
It's basically a game retelling of Goodfellas.
I was getting Goodfellas vibes, I just didn't want to say it, but she already brought up. I was like, I can hear Rags to Riches playing right now.
But But Mafia 2, it doesn't have a good hook to me. It didn't have the same hook as the first game. It's just guy going through crime, which brings me on to the third one, which I started playing, and that third one is a weird game far.
Everyone that I've heard of speak about the third one seems to think is the worst.
Okay, let me lay my case, right? So, I'm not that far into Mafia 3, I'll confess. I've just basically hit the open world, which, by the way, a weird thing about the Mafia games, the first two anyway, they're open world games, but they don't have, like, traditional open world content.
There's nothing to do?
Yeah, they're linear stories set in an open world, basically.
That sounds like L.A. Noire.
Yeah, I think L.A. Noire is similar. Like, there isn't, like, side missions and side quests and stuff. It's all just focused on the main plot.
Yeah, like, you can drive around the open world, but there's no point.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
But the third game is a proper open world game in, like, a Ubisoft vein where there's, like, stuff to do, basically.
Yeah. GTA.
I'd say no, more like an Assassin's Creed game where there's actually like
side missions and stuff and collectibles.
Side missions and collectibles and like there's crime rackets that you can destroy and stuff. Because okay, the premise of Mafia 3 is a bit different from the other two because you play as a black guy in the 1960s.
Yeah, I knew that.
Which I actually think is a super interesting setup for a game, especially an open world game. And the first couple of missions are actually fantastic, and they were my favourite setup. And then the pacing of the game just hits a brick wall when you get into the open world stuff, and you spend hours and hours just doing like menial to a place and kill some people missions.
You're doing keep busy stuff.
Yeah, you're doing busy work, which I'm fine with because I don't value my time and I collect achievements, as you know. Which I'm working on a video about right now, by the way, so look forward to that. But
great.
I think the setup for Mafia 3 is easily the most interesting, and there's definitely more interesting stuff in there, but I can see why people think it's the worst just purely on you spend a lot of time doing nothing side of things.
How what do you think the story so far in Mass Effect and Mafia 3?
Like I say, I thought it was great right up until it hit a brick wall of pacing.
No, she's right, okay.
Like, it sets up what you're doing very well. Basically, the setup is... This is early in the game, and it's basically the setup for the plot, so I think you can spoil it. Like, you come home from Vietnam, you're like a...
I knew Vietnam was in there somewhere.
Yeah, you're a Vietnam vet, you were like a special forces type guy. Your guy is massive, he's like a walking tank, which I enjoy, because it's very different from the previous two games.
Yes.
So you come home, you're on the outskirts of the Mafia, you're friendly with the head of the Black Mafia.
But you're not in it.
You're kind of in it. It's in that weird, like, grey area, you know?
Yeah.
You'll do some crimes for them sometimes, but he's thinking about moving to California. But, okay, so you do some jobs for them, they're in some trouble, you help them out, and then they all get murdered by the actual Mafia. That's not fair. Like, the big boss, basically.
Yeah.
For money. And Lincoln, who's your character, gets shot in the head, but he lives, and then he goes on a vendetta to take down the entire Mafia, and that's the rest of the game, is just methodically taking down the entire system, which is a good setup for a game, I think. I think it's got the most, like, obvious goal to it of any of the games, of, like, revenge, baby! Murder them all!
We all like a good revenge story for the Mafia.
Yes, and, you don't exactly feel bad about murdering them because they're the Mafia, right? So...
Fair.
But yeah, it's the main issue with Mafia 3 isn't the setup, because I know some people were mad that you didn't play as, like, an Italian in a suit and all this, and it's like, I don't give a shit about that. But the main problem is just the game design of it.
I find it interesting that the one that people think is the best one is the one you've had the least to say about.
I actually don't. I think Mafia 1 is also very high regarded, actually.
I know people like it more than they like 2. I'm sorry, more than like 3, sorry.
Yeah. I mean, so far, I think 1 is my favourite of the 3. 1 I genuinely enjoyed, so...
you're making me want to play the Mafia games.
Given your love of Goodfellas and other Mafia-type movies, you probably would enjoy the games.
Great. That's on my Christmas list, then.
But especially the first one. I love the first game. So there you go.
Is it on sale currently? Do we know?
It was on sale when I bought them. I don't know if it's on sale now.
Oh, God. Okay. I'll pay full price. Then it'll go on sale 2 weeks later.
As is the way. But yeah, Mafia 2, overrated.
Can't wait to share this episode with your biggest competitor on YouTube, Scottish Guy Stu.
Biggest competitor. I think you'll find I'm crushing him. Thank you very much.
You're dominating him in the statistical area.
Is it time, Nathan? Is it time to stop and talk about Star Trek?
Yeah, we're right on 55 minutes of recording. I think it's time to talk about Star Trek.
So we finally got a full trailer for Star Trek Prodigy.
Kyle. You're jumping in. This wasn't just Star Trek Prodigy. This was Star Trek Day.
That's true.
It was like Star Wars Day. They had panels. They had people from every single era of Star Trek ever there. You know, they had a live orchestra. They had panels, a red carpet. Mika Burton and Will Wheaton were hosting. A couple of other people were hosting on the red carpet, reading out tweets for some reason. It was a fun event, but because they'd done it in the American West Coast and they wanted it to be an evening affair for them, it was on here like 4 o'clock in the morning. And I was exhausted.
I didn't watch it. I just listened to Nathan's retweets. Not retweets even, just
live written commentary in the group chat.
Live commentary, yeah.
I enjoyed it overall. It was nice seeing people from different eras. It was lovely seeing the actor who played Travis Mayweather in Star Trek Enterprise show up, and he was talking about Enterprise.
What's he up to these days? What's he been in recently?
Who knows? As much as I'm saying it's nice to see him, I don't track his career. But like, he seems well put together. It's not like, oh, he's a stay-at-home dad that doesn't have like a public persona anymore and he's been rolled out for one evening. He seems like he's still an active guy. And
that's good.
He was talking about Enterprise and he was like, it's better than people think it is and people should watch it. And I think somebody made a Faith of the Heart joke. It was nice to see him. They had George Takei out. They had
George Takei famously quoted you, I believe.
He famously quoted me. He did live on stage. It was amazing. And if you want proof of it, go watch Kel's video where I quote Gene Roddenberry quotes. And then George Takei quoted me quoting Gene Roddenberry.
Yes.
And
specifically
they
mention it
in that order. They mentioned that YouTube video. So everyone was there. Basically, we got a representative from every show. And then at one point, I was like, I wonder. Like they had a poster, they had a big Star Trek poster, and they had like one character from each era representing that era, and for every show it was pretty much the captains. And then when it came to Voyager, I was like, I wonder why Captain Janeway isn't representing Voyager. It was because she was there for Prodigy, you know. She was in the poster, but she was in a Prodigy get-up, and 7 of 9 was representing Voyager, and Picard was representing...
It's so weird to see the animated character on those posters. I find it really distracting.
It is a hodgepodge.
Well, those posters are weird because you can so clearly tell that they just took them from different promotional material. I would much prefer if they just did like an actual piece of artwork, you know?
It would be very nice. They do that for Star Wars, remember? Before we ever got a live-action Ahsoka, we had a live-action Ahsoka on the posters, or live-action artist one, you know?
Yeah.
Stuff like that was really cool, but... Yeah, so we got a trailer for Prodigy, a trailer for Star Trek Picard Season 2, a trailer for Lower Deck Season 2, or the mid-season trailer for Season 2.
We got some teasers for Strange New Worlds.
We got some teasers for Strange New Worlds. We got a little look at the new 4K remaster of Star Trek The Motion Picture.
Oh, I missed that one. Okay.
Yeah.
They're remastering the motion picture? That's great. Love that. Best of the Star Trek films.
Well, as Red Letter Media has spoken about at length, it's quite an amazing film from a certain point of view, if not a commercial point of view.
Or an entertainment point of view.
It's a bit boring. I have kind of come around to it with a weird fascination in the last couple of years. I think probably spurred on by that Red Letter Media video. It's made me appreciate it in a light I hadn't previously seen it in. But that doesn't mean, however, I'm not going to say it is a bit boring at parts. Yeah, so we got our first proper extended look at Prodigy.
It looks better than the initial promotional materials had led me to believe. When they first revealed that picture of all the characters with no context, I was very worried because, like I said this at the time, they'd look like promotional material for Spore.
Yeah.
The old game Spore.
Still kind of do.
They still kind of do, but the animation does look a lot better in motion.
Yeah, it does. It does. They clearly put a lot of work into it. I should say, I don't know why there's a Captain Janeway hologram on this ship.
I don't know why there's a ship there in the first place.
It's like crashed and forgotten about. It's like the Franklin in Star Trek Beyond, Kyle.
Yeah, I guess there was a third ship that got sucked through the...
Well, I think that this is like maybe 10 years after Voyager and travel to the Delta Quadrant, which is the thing they can kind of do now because of the connections they've made along the way, the diplomatic ties. And I think this is probably a ship that for some reason was a bit... Because there was a Kazon in the trailer as well, by the looks of things.
It has like a new style Discovery bridge as well, so...
Yeah, I know.
Which bothers me because I just want to see the old bridge again, you know?
I don't even know.
We don't need a big glass window on the bridge. It doesn't make any sense. It's a structural weakness, Nathan.
The ship from Andromeda has it.
The ship from Andromeda is like a cruise ship.
It's like an exploration ship. I think this ship's supposed to be like a fancy exploration ship. I don't think this is a combat cruiser. I think this is supposed to be a little kind of observatory ship or something. It doesn't. It looks tiny. It looks almost bigger than a runabout. It probably is bigger than that, but it doesn't look very big in scale. But I'm like, why is Captain Janeway hologram allowing these non-Federation people to just take over an abandoned Federation starship? But it's a Nickelodeon show. They're trying to onboard kids. I've got a feeling canon ain't going to be the most important priority for this show. When has it ever been?
I mean, it's set in the Delta Quadrant, so they don't really need to care that much, I guess.
Yeah, but they still need to care.
Was there a Kazon in that trailer? I feel like I saw a Kazon
there was.
At one point.
I also mentioned this earlier in this episode, Ken.
Oh, I missed that, sorry.
There is a Kazon.
Someone go timestamp that for me so that I can see where I was wrong.
Timestamp it in the editing bay. So, no, yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to, like I said, it's a Nickelodeon show. I think it's going to be almost Star Wars Resistance-y level. I don't think this is going to be very Rebels or Clone Wars at all, or Bad Batch.
The saving grace of that is it might have more of that Star Trek feel, actually, because it's for kids, and they can make it horribly dark and violent.
Yeah, they can't have Borg assimilating people.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair.
Well, they can't have people's eyeballs being ripped out. It's more the prime of it, you know?
And it got a release date, Kyle. Star Trek Prodigy is set to premiere October 28th this year.
Right, so it's coming out soon then.
Yeah, it's coming out very soon then.
Right, yeah, we're going straight from Lower Decks to Prodigy to Discovery and then to Picard.
And Strange New Worlds doesn't have a final date yet.
Oh gosh, it's going to be so much.
So,
oh no.
So we actually never got a new trailer for Discovery. I think we got a few new stills, but there isn't really much to say except a release date, and it got a commission.
Discovery season 4. We all know what to expect.
It got commissioned for a 5th season, I think.
Did it? I missed that. I saw that Picard got season 3.
Yeah,
I didn't
Picard
see that Discovery got renewed.
Season. Well, I think it did. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think it did. So, okay, we don't have really much to say about Discovery because it didn't actually show much.
We talked about it when the trailer came out and it reused the Mass Effect music.
Yeah, it continues to be a rip-off show. So, let's move to Picard. We're kind of flying through Star Trek. Picard is a choice.
As I said to you after the trailer came out, Jerry Ryan didn't want to wear the Borg makeup anymore, and they wrote a whole season around that.
It's a great line, Kyle. Surely it's not true. I
don't put it past them.
I think I will put it past them, actually. I'm very cynical of them, but that's silly. It's a good line, though. I enjoyed the line. It's nice seeing John Delancey do stuff, I guess. You can see there was a shot of the Q courtroom that's supposed to be like late 21st century human courtrooms where they kill the lawyers and everyone's a drug addict and he's the big robes on. Mm-hmm. But except for this, because they've got a budget, it's now not just a little room anymore, it's an entire hall, you know? And I was like, oh god.
Because it's bigger and it's better.
Yeah, and like, as I told you before, Picard, the trial never ends. I was like, yeah, no, it was cool when you said it back then. Now it's, Do
you remember in the trailer when Picard was about to say bullshit and then he cuts him off?
Yeah, thank God.
I did actually laugh at that, but just because it's so ridiculous Picard was about to say bullshit.
No Admiral Clancy.
Shocker.
Good news, Kyle. They got rid of their little Picard comm badges and got Starfleet comm badges for some reason.
I missed that. That doesn't make any sense because they're still not Starfleet, are they?
Yeah, well, maybe they're going to be like Black Ops Starfleet. I don't know why, though, that they got sent to an alternate timeline where they are essentially the Terran Empire, but it's not the Mirror Universe. Like, that's just purposely confusing your audience if they're not that up on Star Trek. Because
especially since they've been so in on the Terran Universe in Discovery.
Yeah, like it or not, a lot of new folk have come into Star Trek from this rebrand that we've been through the last 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, you know, it's, for better or worse, there's a lot of fans in here that haven't went back and watched old Trek yet. So they're going to see this as, oh my god, Q has taken the crew of Picard's ship to the Mirrorverse. It's like, no, he's not. This is the universe, but he changed time, and now we've gone back.
Time, so they've gone to an alternate fascist universe, and so then they have to go back to the 21st century to prevent something from happening,
to stop
which causes
Donald Trump.
They have to go and kill Donald Trump.
That's going to be the show, Kyle. They're going to.
I know. I would bet money on it.
It will be another Trump Brexit story, without the nuance.
Yes, they'll just make it more explicit, which honestly might be better because they're not good at nuance.
And to do time travel, they're bringing in the Borg and the Borg Queen, but I don't know how the Borg Queen's alive. It's probably another Queen, which is fine. But somehow they've got her. I bet she'll be... Because it seems like she's secure when they get her. She's not on a cube.
She's in Starfleet prison somewhere.
She's in Section 31 HQ, Kyle.
She's the head of Section 31?
Sloane's her bitch. So, like, they've gone to see the Borg Queen. And she's like, I will open a timeline for you, Picard. Don't know why, you know? Why does she know that time's been changed? Surely she grew up in fascist
Because he's Locutus, and that makes him a special boy.
There's a temporal thing in your skull that says you have all these memories from another timeline, Picard. Yeah, that'll be it, probably. I wonder if we're going to get any more cameos this season.
Well, they're going to the 21st century, so...
Yeah, but, like, before they leave and when they come back...
Oh, probably they'll sneak in a fascist striker at some point.
Does Picard...
Have a goatee instead of a beard.
Oh, God. When did Picard season 1 have a mid-season break?
I don't think so.
No, Discovery did. I didn't know Picard did, because I was going to say it'd be interesting if they, like, this was only the first half of the season they've shown. They actually get back to the 25th century quite quickly.
The thing that fascinates me still, and I bring this up every time that we talk about Picard, is all of the other characters are still there.
Why are they still on board this ship?
Why are they still there? Why are they in this show? Do we still need what's-his-face, Sword Boy? Really?
Apparently Brent Spiner's back to play Professor Song's son.
Of course he is.
Nice to see him. Doesn't need to put on the data makeup anymore, I guess. No more androids for him.
We talked about this before. Do you think they're going to pursue the relationship between Seven of Nine and Raffi?
No.
No, me neither. Me neither.
No, I don't think they will. I do not think they will. I like seeing Patrick.
Because it was a bad idea?
I like seeing Patrick Stewart, right? It's like, as I've said before, I like the first 3 episodes of Picard, actually. I don't care that it makes not a lot of sense. I like the final scene with him and Data on the holodeck android space where he wants to die. It's nice seeing those 2 characters chat again. Like, it just makes me happy. I like it. I don't care. I just like it. I like Star Trek. I like these characters. It's nice. And nice to see Patrick Stewart continue Picard for another season, then another season. Because season 3's coming.
Apparently.
But man, what a mess the story is. Just show me collections of scenes with legacy characters and no context behind them and I'll be happy. Don't give me all this bullshit in the 21st century where Seven of Nine can drive a 4x4.
You know that scene in All Good Things where they all just kind of sat around the table chatting?
They're playing poker?
It's like, when they're old in the future and they're just kind of sat around talking. Yeah. And Data has like a stripe of grey in his hair.
Yeah.
Just show me scenes like that.
just sitting chatting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want them to play poker. I would like them to play poker again. They can play poker while Riker makes pizza.
Exactly.
Burnt tomato.
Exactly. I just want Star Trek to make me feel good, Nathan.
Well, I think we might be soon having a Star Trek show that will make you feel good.
I hope so. I really do. All of my faith is placed in Strange New Worlds.
Yeah.
And maybe that's a bad idea.
Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Kyle.
They're saying all the right things, Nathan.
They are doing this flawlessly, Kyle. They are drawing me in like that wormhole in Star Trek Voyager that promises them a route home, but it's actually a big monster that's there to eat the ship. They are drawing me in with their tantalising promises of good old-fashioned episode. And see, at that Star Trek Day panel, they even spoke about what made them want to make the shift back to it. And they said, they think that there's a lot of value to be had in episodic story. And they fired off all these good reasons why the type of show they're making with Strange New Worlds is a good idea. And I was like, that's the exact opposite shit you've been saying for Discovery for the past few years. Pick one, And I'm happy they've decided to make Strange New Worlds, and I hope so. I really hope it is what they've promised, because it's what they've said the whole
Anson
time.
Mount is a gem.
He's a gem of a man. The crew they've shown makes me happy. The only thing I'm concerned about is they've got Uhura in the show. I don't think we need her. I get Nichelle Nichols is
still there, and hopefully he's better now.
Yeah. I don't particularly like Ethan Peck's Spock. I don't really think we need Uhura or Spock. If Scotty I was going to say Shatner. If Shatner showed up, that'd be great. If Kirk or anyone shows up, it's going to further demean this show to me. We don't need the legacy characters. This is Pike's era on the ship. I know we've got Spock, and I just don't like the casting, but I accept that Spock would be there. It's just, I really hope this show's good. We got an Aenar, the white Andorians, the blind ones. I think that's really cool, actually. That's a compelling character on the ship. I'm interested. I'm actively interested. That's an interesting decision they've made, Kyle. I'm like, that could be quite interesting, Like, great, let's see what they do with it. There's a can on the ship, though. That's a bit worrying. And Noonien Sung.
Yes. Not to be confused with Dr. Noonien Sung.
Not to be... Can Noonien Sing. Sorry. Sing.
Yes, not to be confused with Dr. Noonien Sung. Because they thought that out really well.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
That's not New Trek's fault. That's old Trek's fault.
No, that's TNG's fault.
Yeah, that's TNG's fault. But you know what? We've got a Sing on the ship, and oh lord, they're not going to bring Khan into this show. They're not going to have Pike wake him up, then fucking put him back to bed again. And have Khan never mention it in TOS.
Oh god.
We've dealt with augments in Enterprise, and we've dealt with it in TOS, and TOS got a movie about it, and Into Darkness dealt with it. Do we really need more augments? Because this will be a descendant of Khan, and Khan's supposed to be from the eugenics wars in the 90s. And we're 20 years past the 90s in our timeline, and it's like, the augments were fine.
Still waiting on those eugenics
Still waiting on those eugenic wars. They're a bit late. Though we're dealing with gene editing in these days, so
that's
who knows?
True.
But
we'll get there yet.
We'll get there yet. Oh boy, will we? So I'm like, why did he have a descendant who was genetically altered but never got jettisoned into space, and now she's on the Enterprise? And are they going to deal with like a genetic engineering Dr. Bashir line where she's had to keep it secret, but she's actually superior to other humans? Like Bashir done that in Deep Space Nine. Like, it was told well in Deep Space Nine, and you know what? I'm not even necessarily going to say if they handle this well, I'm just going to hate it anyway. If they handle it well, fuck it, do it again. But I don't think they will do it well.
I mean, yeah, I'm also not with him at concerns for number one, whose whole deal is that she's mysterious. But they've kind of made that part of her thing. But they're going to have to resolve that eventually, and it could go badly.
I don't think she's that mysterious. I know they try to do it, but I think it's more of a bit of a wink and a nod, I don't really care. We get Nurse Chapel. I know I said I don't want legacy characters. I'm willing to accept her. That one doctor, whose name I can't remember. I'm so sorry. He was in 2 TOS episodes. I apologise, listeners.
He's not Bones. He's the other guy.
He's the other guy. He's showing up to be the doctor on the ship. That's fine. I'm happy to see him. Not main characters. I've realised now.
You mentioned it'd be great if Shatner showed up. I think Shatner is vain enough that he'll have seen Star Wars The Mandalorian, and then they de-aged Mark Hamill, and he'll be like, I'm young and spry enough, I can do that, and we're going to see a de-aged Kirk on this show. Lieutenant
Kirk.
Yes.
Like Fat William Shatner.
They're going to CGI him.
Nah.
I can see it happening.
I don't think we're going to see. I would listen. I don't want to see Kirk. I would love to see Shatner. He's got a fucking open invite. Any Star Trek show, bring him in. Picard, fuck it, yeah, why not? Bring Shatner in. Lower Decks, sure. Lower Decks is the show I actually wouldn't be surprised to see him in. But yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be very interesting to see how they pull this off.
They've changed the uniforms, which I'm a bit iffy about. You like them?
Now, I said this in text, but I don't know how much of the intent gets lost in translation when you're reading it. So I think we spoke about uniforms on the show before for the TOS look. I think Star Trek Beyond fucking nailed the TOS look for modern era, in my opinion. I think Into Darkness and Star Trek 09 were fair attempts, but they actually look a bit fancy dress costume in retrospect. You know, they've got the Starfleet logo designed right into the shirt all over the place. It's the detailing. I think Beyond nailed it. And then Discovery Season 2, I appreciate the attempt to bring the TOS look, because in Discovery Season 1 apparently they just didn't realise that it's a thing somebody might want to see. And I get the translation where, you know, the Discovery uniform is the big floppy collar, so it kind of does, doesn't it? It kind of does.
Yeah, well, yeah. It has like it's like a weird, like, off-center collar thing.
Yeah, so I appreciate that for the TOS translation, for this big connecting bridge, because it's the new uniform, they'll keep the collar. But I happen to not be a fan. I like collars in general, actually. Like the Star Trek Beyond has a collar that was quite nice. But on balance, I think that in lots and lots of angles, the black floppy collar in Discovery Season 2 of the TOS uniform didn't make any sense. So we land on this new one for Strange New Worlds, which I'm a fan of. I was about to say big fan of, but I want to asterisk this. It suffers from the t-shirty look that you get from it being an honest remake of the TOS uniform.
Yes.
I like the black undershirt, so I acknowledge the fact that it suffers from the t-shirty look, but the big black collar put me off a lot. I understood why it was there, but I'm happy for this uniform. I like this uniform on balance, and they've got Starfleet designs on the shoulder pads, I think, that are like the 2009, 2013 to JJ Star Trek movies, except it's no longer just the Starfleet Delta, it's now Divisions, so it's the command logo, it's not just the Delta itself.
And they're still doing the thing where medical is white. Yeah,
I think that's just, we've got that now, so fuck it, whatever. I think actually the main Doctor will be in blue. He won't be in
I thought
blue.
We saw him. Actually, I don't know if we saw a picture of him, did we? I can't remember now.
We saw a picture of a TOS actor, and I think we might have saw a brief picture. I don't think he was in white, though. I think he was in blue. Maybe nurses will be in white.
Nurse Chapel was definitely wearing white.
Nurse Chapel was definitely wearing white. We've got a new security lady. That's nice. New character, so that's fine. Double thumbs up. New character. I keep coming back to the Enar. That's so cool. That's so cool. Interesting stuff. Good. Clap, clap. Yay, more.
Finally, a proper solid callback to Enterprise. Can you imagine?
I
know that they slightly mentioned the Defiant in Discovery, but whatever.
They also write out, say, Captain Jonathan Archer and the crew of NX-01 in Discovery Season 1.
Yeah, but whatever. This is a thing from Enterprise, okay?
This
is an actual thing from Enterprise.
More things from Enterprise.
We're gonna see Jeffrey Combs. He's gonna come back as Shan.
You know what? They actually played Jeffrey Combs quite a bit this year. People talked about him in Star Trek Day quite a lot, and I hope he's in talks. Like, not necessarily to come back as Shran as like 150-year-old Andorian, but
we don't know how long Andorians live. To be fair,
we actually don't. There'll be a book somewhere. Somebody will send me this fucking memory alpha.
Actually, they live 75 years and then they reproduce by laying eggs.
Yeah, out of their antenna. Yeah, like I would love to see Jeffrey Combs back in Star Trek. Like, it can be a new character. Fuck it. Like, the only ongoing characters he had was like Brunt, Shran, and Weyoon. He had other one-off bit pieces, but there were his primary.
If you count Weyoon as an ongoing character, because most times we saw Weyoon, it was a different Weyoon.
Well, indeed. We saw at least 4 different Weyoons. I think when we met him, he was on Weyoon 4, I think.
I think so. I can't remember.
Yeah. So I remember when he died, they said this was Weyoon 8, and it was the last one. I think we're on 4. But yeah, so I see if he came back as Shran, I think that would be amazing, but also I kind of also don't want it because I think it will stretch believability a bit. But, you know, who knows? Time travel. But yeah, nah.
Another character that could definitely come back is T'Pol. T'Pol, is that her name?
T'Pol.
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 Yeah. Because Vulcans live for ages.
Yeah, she could totally show up in this show. Jolene Blalock, though, I don't think has got any play in the Star Trek community at the minute. No one talks about her.
Fair.
I don't think she's someone people are eagerly awaiting to see again. Though if she showed up, everyone would cheer. Everyone would cheer. More, But nobody talks about her. No, she's not a character people. It's like Chakotay, Though didn't Robert Beltran say that he was coming back for Prodigy or something?
I think he did. Just casually mentioned it.
Casually mentioned.
She's like, oh yeah, I'm doing about the same thing, but
that Kate's doing. Yeah,
that Kate's doing.
You're like, okay, Chakotay. We'll see more of you, I guess. Tom Paris was in Discovery. Lower Decks.
I saw he's on a plate.
He shows up as well. The character.
Does he? Okay.
Yeah, Robert Duncan McNeil voices him. He sounds nothing like Tom Paris anymore.
No, he's got like an old voice now.
Yeah, it's like when they got Freddie Prinze Jr. to be a kid Kanan. Because he showed up looking like he did in Voyager, because it's a cartoon, obviously.
Because it's only set like a few years afterwards.
Yeah, except he's wearing a First Contact uniform. And yeah, no, he just sounds absolutely nothing like. But I mean, it was nice to see him. It was nice to see him, And I kind of hope we'll get maybe more of that going forward in Star Trek. Now I hope Star Trek will become less ashamed of its past, because I think Star Trek has been cripplingly ashamed of its past.
For some reason,
yeah,
it's weird.
Well, I mean, that arguable that trend started with Enterprise. Like the first 2 seasons of Enterprise isn't called Star Trek Enterprise; it's just called Enterprise.
That's true. And then for season 4, they realized, oh wait, people like Star Trek.
I think for season 3 they added it back in, but yeah, they spent too long being a bit ashamed of it.
I wouldn't say season 3 they added it back in. Season 3 is the 9/11 season.
It is, but I still feel like they added the name Star Trek back onto it. I think it was like half the show didn't have it, half the show did. But definitely it was there for season 4, but I could swear season 3 had it. Doesn't matter.
Season 4 is when the Star Trek vibe came back to it.
You're true.
Season
right.
4 is when they did the 2-parter set in the mirror universe.
The big long story arcs, yeah. The season 4 was quite good. But yeah, so...
Gosh, I would love a return of Enterprise. Can you imagine? Get the old cast back.
To bring season 5, and it's the lost years between Terra Nova and these.
Well, they could set it after the time skip, because
why? Trip's dead.
We can bring him back. Who cares? Trip's death was stupid.
Set it in the lost years, Kyle. There's 5 years to play with in there, where there was the Romulan War, which was covered in the amazing game Star Trek Legacy. Like, there's stuff to play with in there I would love to see. Apparently, the NX-01 got fitted with a secondary hull, like a big bottom bit with a big deflector dish and stuff. I would love to see a continuation of Enterprise. It's never happening. Never, no way, no how happening. But I would love it.
They just announced in one of these Star Trek days, yeah, we're doing Enterprise Season 5. Here's Jonathan Archer to tell you about it.
Holy shit. That would be so cool. Admiral Archer could show up in Strange New Worlds.
He'd be old, but he could do it, yeah.
He would be like 100 and something years old. He'd be no more older than Picard is.
He'd be like Bones at the start of
he was 137 years old, sir, according to Starfleet records.
What's so bad about not having that?
Exactly, Kyle. And, they mention Admiral Archer's prized beagle in Star Trek 2009.
They do.
So, like, Archer is a person...
Because in that timeline, it's still canon.
It's still canon.
Technically.
Admiral Archer showing up as a person who's alive around at the time of TOS is a thing, and apparently he went on to become Federation president. So...
Yes.
That's cool. Like, I want to see Archer could totally show up.
It would be fun to
giving
see
orders to Captain Pike. They can give him the exact same makeup they used on DeForest Kelly when he showed up for TNG.
Oh, I think we'd CGI it nowadays.
No. They used the exact same makeup. They give him the same uniform. Because in canon, what he's wearing in the episode counts as like an informal admiral's uniform. His little cardigan. Apparently that counts. They give it to Archer. The show ends with Archer giving it to a young McCoy. It's nice having nice things to say about Star Trek.
I just hope it's good. I really do.
Got anything else you want to wind off about before we finish? Whoa! Oh, you have something for me.